Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Thursday, February 11, 2021. BBC report. China bans BBC World News from broadcasting. Citing serious content violation, the body claimed that BBC journalism had breached TV and radio regulations on impartial reporting. China has criticized the BBC for its reporting on coronavirus and the persecution of ethnic minority Uighurs. The BBC said it was disappointed by the decision. China's State Film, TV and Radio Administration said BBC World News reports about China were found to seriously violate broadcast guidelines, including the requirement that news should be truthful and fair and not harm China's national interests.
CNN report. Twitter is stuck between a rock and a hard place in India. India's efforts to crack down on dissent have left Twitter with an impossible balancing act: protecting free speech, or risking its employees and business in one of the company's most vital markets. The company said in a blog post Wednesday that it was served with several separate blocking orders by the Indian government against hundreds of Twitter accounts in the past 10 days. Early last week, it briefly suspended many of those accounts at the government's behest but reinstated them a few hours later after a public outcry, including one handle with over 200,000 followers supporting the ongoing protests by farmers against new agricultural reforms and another belonging to one of the country's most prominent magazines.
Al Jazeera report. 5 Afghan security force members killed in attack on UN convoy. A United Nations convoy has been attacked on the outskirts of Afghanistan's capital Kabul, with unidentified gunmen killing 5 Afghan security force members who were escorting the international agency's vehicles. An Afghan Interior Ministry official said the Taliban was believed to be behind the attack in the Sorobi district of the province about 60 kilometers 37 miles east of Kabul, but the armed group denied involvement.
Fox report. Yale murder mystery person of interest attended MIT with victim's fiancé, but connection unknown. The person of interest wanted for questioning in connection to Yale University graduate student Kevin Yang's murder in New Haven, Conn, on February 6 had attended Massachusetts Institute of Technology (MIT) at the same time as Yang's fiancé, Fox News has learned. But authorities have not confirmed a connection or whether the two knew each other at the school. A spokesman for the New Haven Police Department confirmed to Fox News Thursday that 29-year-old Massachusetts resident Chinchuan Pan, a researcher at MIT, remains at large.
Deutsche Welle report. Trump impeachment trial. Democrats make final arguments. The third day of former U.S. President Donald Trump's impeachment trial got underway Thursday, with Democrats continuing to make their case that Trump's words and actions incited a violent mob that stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6. Democrats will be using their final 8 hours of argumentation to make the case that Trump did nothing to stop the attack. Colorado Representative Diana DeGette said the mob believed they were following Trump's orders.
Deutsche Welle report. Germany. Syrian man charged in Dresden knife attack. German federal prosecutors charged a Syrian national suspected of stabbing 2 men last year in the eastern city of Dresden, German media outlets reported Thursday. The 20-year-old suspect is said to have been motivated by a radical Islamist ideology, and targeted the couple because they were homosexual, prosecutors say. The attack in Dresden's Old Town on October 4, 2020 left one 55-year-old man dead and his 53-year-old partner seriously injured.
Fox report. Teen uses college savings to help pay mom's rent. A Texas high school senior emptied her college savings account to pay her mother's rent in order to keep the family from being evicted from their home. Just weeks earlier, Alondra Carmona, a senior at Yes Prep East End in Houston, had been accepted to her dream school, Barnard College. The teen grew up in a single-parent household where her mom worked every day to pay rent, according to a GoFundMe page she created.
BBC report. Milan's acrobat thieves use Instagram tags to rob rich and famous. The group examined celebrities' photos to find entry points, using tagged locations to find out where they lived and when they would be out. Footage released by officials shows the robbers scaling apartment buildings. Among the victims were TV host Diletta Leotta and footballer Achraf Hakimi. One suspect was arrested in January, and 3 others on Wednesday. They include a 17-year-old who will appear in juvenile court.
BBC report. President Biden cancels funding for Trump border wall. In a letter to Congress on Thursday, Mr. Biden wrote that the order was unwarranted and said that no further tax dollars will be spent on the wall. Mr. Trump declared a state of emergency over the southern border in 2019, which allowed him to bypass Congress and use military funds for its construction. When Mr. Trump left office, about $25 billion, £18 billion, had been spent on the project. The announcement from President Biden is the latest in a series of executive orders that have rolled back key parts of the former president's agenda.
Fox report. Whose China coronavirus probe triggers reaction? A team of scientists from the World Health Organization (WHO) is just getting home from their 4-week stay in Wuhan, China, probing the origins of COVID-19. Their work is already attracting attention. After White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said it would be good to have American scientists independently verify the findings, one of the team members, Dr. Peter Daszak, tweeted, in part, "I'm disappointed that a statement came out that might undermine the veracity of this work even before the report is released."
CNN report. A 7-year-old boy went back into a burning home to save his baby sister. A 7-year-old boy named Eli saved his baby sister's life when he jumped into her room through a window to rescue her from a fire that destroyed his family's home. It was a typical night at the Davidson household in New Tazewell, Tennessee, on December 8. Chris and Nicole Davidson fed their 3 children dinner, tucked them into bed and were asleep by 8:30 p.m. Hours later, Nicole Davidson woke up to the smell of smoke.
CNN report. Grape nuts will be back on shelves in March. The grape nuts shortage that ground an already on-edge nation to a halt has been resolved. Grape nuts will start shipping at normal levels by mid-March, its parent company Post Consumer Brands said Thursday, putting an end to a weeks-long shortage sparked by supply chain constraints and higher demand. "We promised our loyal fans that we would work hard to get grape nuts back on store shelves as quickly as possible, and we are now committing to an earlier than anticipated return date," said Kristen Durock, Grape Nuts brand manager, who added that the company has ramped up production of the cereal.
Al Jazeera report. Ethiopia shuts 2 Tigray camps housing Eritrean refugees. 2 refugee camps caught up in a brutal conflict in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region have been closed and their Eritrean residents relocated, authorities have confirmed, as the country's state-appointed Human Rights Commission reported that both sites had been destroyed. The United Nations Refugee Agency (UNHCR) has called for protection for the residents of the Shimelba and Hitsats camps, which it says were attacked by armed men who killed and abducted refugees.
Deutsche Welle report. Star Wars series fires Gina Carano after Holocaust post. The production company behind the science fiction series The Mandalorian has fired its lead actress, Gina Carano, citing her social media posts. The Walt Disney co-owned movie studio, Lucasfilm, said on Thursday that Carano was no longer affiliated with the company and would not be in the future. The former mixed martial arts (MMA) fighter was playing the recurring character Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, which is set in the Star Wars universe.
Al Jazeera report. Mexico president warns against believing U.S. now has open doors. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said on Thursday that migrants who believe that doors are open to the United States, now that Joe Biden is president, are wrong. López Obrador urged migrants not to believe traffickers who tell them they could get legal status immediately. Now, for example, that there is a U.S. immigration policy to regularize the situation of migrants, Mexicans and our Central American brothers. People think that now the doors are open, that President Biden is going to immediately regularize all migrants, López Obrador said.
Fox report. Saudi women's rights activist freed after being forced to perform sex acts on prison interrogators. A Saudi women's rights activist who pushed to end the country's ban on female drivers has been freed after spending just over 1,000 days in prison, where she reportedly had been forced to kiss and perform other sexual acts on her interrogators. Luyan al-Hathloul emerged from custody Wednesday following her arrest in 2018. She was sentenced to almost 6 years in prison last December under a broad counterterrorism law.
CNN report. Bitcoin's big moment. Mastercard jumps on the bandwagon. Mastercard is bringing Bitcoin to the checkout counter. The company announced late Wednesday that it will support select cryptocurrencies directly on its network at some point later this year, Our philosophy on cryptocurrencies is straightforward. It's about choice. Raj Damodaran, an executive vice president at Mastercard, wrote in a post late Wednesday. Mastercard isn't here to recommend you start using cryptocurrencies. But we are here to enable customers, merchants and businesses to move digital value, traditional or crypto, however they want.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.